So when it comes to cinema, there are many times when I feel the complete opposite about a film than everybody else. And when it specifically comes to Ari Aster films, yeah, I don't feel how everybody else feels about them. When it came to Hereditary, I thought it was okay, it was intriguing, but there was nothing really else to it. And Midsummer, I might get a lot of flack for this, but I just thought it was a generic creepypasta, scary story sort of film, something that would be generated by AI. I don't know, I just felt like there was nothing special with that film. But then, when we get to Beau is Afraid, I feel like that film is almost a masterpiece. It is so well done. To me, it's like a modern day twist on Psycho. It touches on a lot of deep themes. So when we come to Eddington, there is kind of a split going on right now about, is this a good film? Is it not? And I gotta say, I feel like this is so close to being a masterpiece. But there are a lot of people online that don't really enjoy this film and actually kind of hate this film. It's hard to talk about this film without talking about politics, because this is a political film. It's based right after the COVID-19 outbreak and deals with shutdowns, mask mandates, and the chaos of everything else that happened in 2020. And I saw a lot of critiques of this film saying that this is the wrong time for this film, that we are judging people on the right too lightly, we're being too harsh on people on the left. And this really is baffling, because this movie is literally a commentary on us as people and how we got here. And there were some other comments that there wasn't enough Trump in this and his influence, but as shown in this film, the issue goes way deeper than Trump. To be so one-sided in your views of this film, thinking that it has to show one way and has to put down one side, kind of defeats the point of the film. This movie, Eddington, shows us who we are, how we got here, and the dangers of our choices, and why we make these choices. Like, the people we're living with here in America are normal people that care about normal things. They care about their wife, they care about the community, they care about doing what they think is the right thing. We can't paint these people as one-sided, faceless people, because these are real humans we're dealing with on a daily basis. So I see a lot of the critiques, and I'm like, that's the wrong way of approaching it, because if you just focus on saying these people are bad, they're bad, look at all their choices, it's bad, who is that movie for? You're alienating one whole side, and you're just appealing to one demographic of people. And that's not what this film is trying to do. I mean, this film is trying to show us who we are and why we're here. And I think the first 3/4 of this movie is an absolute masterpiece in doing that. And it does it so very well. Honestly, this is a film I give 9 out of 10. I love it. I think it's really, really good. Obviously, I can't talk about more of it without going into spoilers, so spoilers ahead. This film is dealing with two halves of the political spectrum. Obviously, we have the left and we have the right. We have the left with the mayor, but it's also with this kid who sees this girl that he's attracted to, but realizes she's progressive, and he wants to date her, so he goes, looks up stuff online, tries to figure it out. Just honestly figuring out information just so he can, hopefully date this girl one day. Which causes him to eventually join progressive causes and kind of change his ideologies. Or at least it looks like he's changing his ideologies just to impress a girl. And then we have the other side with the sheriff. And obviously he's right-leaning, but he's someone who, at very first glance, does not seem all of a bad person. You could definitely see somebody who loves his wife and loves his community, and someone who believes he's trying to do what is right, what is normal. And it's a film that's very grounded because it's not absurd. You don't have a sheriff that's going completely off rails, handling situations absolutely terribly. It all makes sense from his perspective and where he's coming from and how he's acting. And at the same time, it makes sense for this kid, why he acts the way he acts. joining good causes, trying to do the right thing. But then we see as an audience, it's kind of funny. It's kind of also hard to watch. A lot of this is hard to watch because it's reality, and these characters are not necessarily the characters we should be rooting for. If you're on the right, you shouldn't be rooting for the sheriff, and if you're on the left, you shouldn't be rooting for this kid, even though they're probably doing the right thing in both situations. And because this film is so grounded in reality within the first 3/4 of the movie, we can see these people in our day-to-day lives, and it makes us examine why these people do the things that they do, and why they make the choices that they make. And obviously there's a pivot point 3/4 of the way through the movie when, huge spoiler alert, the sheriff kills the mayor. Now, right before this point, it seems like everything is going against the sheriff, and he arrives at the mayor's party. They turn the music down, there was a noise complaint. He's still, at that point, trying to do the right thing, or at least what he believes is the right thing. And then he gets slapped by the mayor. And we can see a real human person in the sheriff at this point. But it's also at this point where a lot of people get to, where it seems everyone around them is going one direction, and yet they're here trying to do what they believe is right. Now he decides what is the next step. Now, in life, the easiest step is probably the one where you do the wrong thing. It's easy to pull the trigger. It's harder to have some self-reflection. And that's kind of mirrored in this character and life in general, where he's just going to end his problem. Instead of having open communication with the people, all these people in the town that are against him, instead of realizing that a lot of his choices are selfish choices. He decided to run for mayor without even communicating with his wife at first, when he probably knows that's already going to be something that bothers his wife later. But he makes a choice for himself. He needs to stand up for what he believes. What he believes is hugely a key word here, because a lot of the choices that aren't the right choice in this film are driven by selfishness. As we see the kid, his selfish desires is to date this girl, so he kind of fakes what he believes in, and obviously that doesn't go according to him. His friend, his best friend, ends up getting the girl instead, stealing her, and he never openly communicates with them. Not with the girl, not with his friend. He doesn't communicate the pain he's going through. He just hides it, and he kind of revengefully texts a picture of them to one of her exes. And it's just selfishness. You know what he actually genuinely wants, but he's not talking about it, and he's just trying to handle the situation himself, and he's trying to get what he wants, and he's trying to do what he thinks others want, but it's all rooted in selfishness. And in this film, you can really see that through the sheriff and this kid in the movie. And we want these people, we want the sheriff, and we want this kid, we want them to do the right thing, but obviously it all falls apart, and it's their choices that they make that makes it all fall apart. And then we get to the final fourth of the film, and this is when I believe it jumps the shark. It gets into an action movie, it gets into craziness. Ari Aster loves going crazy in his movies, so I guess it's to be expected at this point. I thought maybe it's going to be fully grounded. I also think this last fourth of the film kind of takes away from the overall message. We're dealing with real issues in reality, with real people making real choices, people that we could know, and people that we might care about. We might care about someone from on the right. We might care about someone on the left. But, they make the wrong choices. It's kind of like at that point we can reflect on where it all went wrong. But when you start getting into this crazy final act, it's not grounded in reality, and why should we judge it to reality standards anymore? And I think the film is weaker because of it, even though it might be more entertaining and more chaotic. But that's just the choice the film decided to make. And I think at the end of the film, we had to decide, what can we do? I mean, is there anything we could do with the sheriff? Is there anything we could do with the kid? And I believe what we can do is all reflected in the sheriff's wife's mother, the mother-in-law. She's a huge conspiracy theorist, believes absolutely everything, kind of bonkers, kind of nuts. We all know this, it's quite obvious she doesn't believe the right thing. She doesn't even believe her daughter. She believes what she thinks is right. And by the end of the film, nothing wrong happens to her. She has a nice house. She has a new boyfriend. Everything's good for her. And there's no consequences. So that's a last shot at us to say, hey, look it. If people like this go unchecked, if people like this aren't held accountable, if people like this aren't told they're wrong, it's not like bad things are going to happen to them. Yeah, that happened to the sheriff, but not all the time. These people can get away scot-free. They can have great, great lives. And even though they have great lives, their actions and their choices, even though it seems like they're living off in their own world, it has greater consequences, as we see reflected back in the beginning of this film with the bird dying near the data center. It's obviously affecting the world around them that they live in. If these choices of these characters are left unchecked with no communication between us and them, letting them pursue whatever selfish needs, whatever selfish choices they make. So this film is a huge, great, amazing commentary on how we need to be less selfish, and we have to openly communicate with everyone, and we can't just be one-sided. We can't just say all of that is bad, because we're all human. We all start at the same point, and we all want what's good. But it gets to a point where we start thinking two different things about what's good. And how do we handle that? Do we start killing each other? We have to be honest, and we have to make choices for other people, not just for ourselves. And we have to communicate with other people. It's so hard to do, because obviously, as we know, in this film, and as in real life, bad people don't always pay, and their choices reflect the world around us. And I love how this has a bookend, where you got birds dying in the beginning, homelessness, and just absolutely terrible with this whole data center, and by the end, the people that caused it. But anyways, I think everybody needs to look at this film, watch this film, and learn about this film, and not hate this film because it's trying to show, oh, we're all good people, or oh, we're all bad people. We are all people, and a lot of us make selfish choices that needs to be communicated about by others. And it's hard to talk about issues with people that you know but don't agree with, but it has to be done, and we have to be open to seeing other perspectives. Anyways, that's Eddington. Great film. Thanks for stopping by today. I will see you next time.